Hello, all you sexy scopers. We are in for a treat today. We are here in San Francisco in the Mission District at Ratio 3 for an art show. It's Barry McGee's show called China Boo, and I'm here with Theo, the director, and we're starting outside here because he actually did or redid the outside. It's actually part of the piece. So could you tell us a little bit about the outside?
Yeah, I'd love to. Thank you. So yeah, we're standing out here on Mission Street, Barry's original stomping grounds. His studio is actually only a few blocks away from here, and this is a really special show for us here at the gallery. We had the opportunity to acquire an abandoned check cashing store next door to our primary gallery space.
Wow.
And he was able to really use this as a departure point for his show. He renamed the building the Elquan Check Cashing Center, or alternately, the Elquan Healing Arts Center, as you'll see there on the sign. So as soon as we secured the lease, we kind of kept it hush-hush at the gallery so that when we debuted Barry's show, this would be a total surprise to everybody coming out. Maybe we should take a look up here at the light box. Barry had some custom vinyl and plexi made. It's all very much in keeping with his aesthetic. Anybody who's a fan of Barry will definitely recognize some of this iconography. So we'll loop back around to talking about what's inside that section of the exhibition, but now we're going in through the main doors to the gallery itself, where Barry's solo exhibition, China Boo, is on view. So we've got 1 week left in the show. The show's been on for 6 weeks so far, and it's been steadily a really fun exhibition, lots of people coming out. So here, starting on the right, that...
So let's hold on one sec. So quickly, we would love to hear a little bit about the artist. Let's get a little bit of background about, you were telling me a little bit earlier about his background in street art and how he's gradually made his move into some sort of a more traditional gallery setting.
Absolutely.
So could you give us just like a nugget of what you were telling
Yeah,
me
well, we'll
earlier?
do the broad brush. For people who don't know Barry McGee's practice already, so he got his start in the 90s in San Francisco, where he was born and then went to school at the San Francisco Art Institute. And while he was a student at SFAI, he was also getting out on the streets and making his mark. He was really a fan of the guerrilla art act, whether that was graffiti, tagging, or just a spontaneous art happening. And he was really making a name for himself in that graffiti scene, and writing on freight trains. And at that time, a lot of his exhibition opportunities were really framed as basically bringing the streets into the gallery.
Yeah.
And that was a big part of what was happening for Barry early in his career. At this point, Barry's well into the middle of his career. He's had significant shows at major museums across the country. And his work has really grown a lot. He's transitioned to being more than just a street artist, but a successful contemporary artist in the broadest sense. And I think that this show, China Boo, is really exciting in the sense that it reflects that. A lot of his old imagery and iconography is present. Any fans of Barry will definitely recognize the face in this particular China piece here. And the patterning, if we pan down just a little bit. But you'll also see some new things that he hasn't really previously done in the past, focusing more on these rectangular format works, something a little more regular and recognizable as a painting. He's even framed them, which is definitely a grown-up move for Barry.
So can you tell us a little bit about some of these pieces then?
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe we'll move on to this piece right here. I think this is a particularly exciting work in that this is the first time that Barry has painted over his patterns. The patterns are a recognizable composition for Barry, piecing together multiple different geometric, tessellations. But in this piece, he's now gone over his patterns again. If we maybe get a close-up of this face right here, you can see how the pattern's even starting to creep back through, So this is all hand-painted work that he's then gone over and sanded, because he doesn't ever like to keep things too perfect. He likes to bring back in a little bit of that rough-hewn look, or the sort of chaotic, edgy energy of his work.
Look at some of these other faces, guys. These are really beautiful. And all these different patterns and his use of color.
So all of these patterns that you're looking at are really pretty labor-intensive process. He and his studio assistants will tape off a region of these panels. Right? All of these paintings are done on panel. He'll paint down one layer of color, remove the tape, retape another section, and build up the pattern bit by bit in that way.
Wow, that's intense.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful, isn't it, guys? So what's another piece that would be good for us to show them?
There's actually an interesting object that's gotten a lot of attention in the middle of the room here. If we maybe want to spin around and look at this this green ball. So this was a mystery object that Barry brought into the show about 2 hours before it opened. He said, "Hold on, guys. I think we need to get one more thing for the show." And he disappears for a little bit and comes back with his van riding about 2 inches off of the street level. And we struggle to unload this concrete ball. 2 weeks after we had the show open, I later found out that it was made by another artist in like 1999 by the name of Dave Hardy. He was at the time living in the San Francisco Bay Area for about a year and decided to do a sort of guerrilla street object, to go out and install an artwork without the permission of the city out in Wormwater Cove, which is where the bay kind of meets the edge of the Mission District. And
my boy, someone says. Yeah, that's tight.
So
Absolutely, Sean.
So Barry found this object out there, and at the time didn't know what it was, but he knew it needed to be in the show. And once it arrived, we found out it was actually somebody else's, spontaneous art object, which is totally in keeping with the rest of the show, as we'll see in a little bit. The monitor. So Barry's been playing around a lot with these, basically producing these faces with his cell phone, just using text symbols. If we zoom in on this monitor, you'll see he's got this animation scrolling that he actually composed starting with a cell phone, kind of created his own form of an emoji.
So, gang, I found out that none of these pieces are titled. Everything is untitled. And what was the reason for that?
Well, Barry doesn't sweat the details where it doesn't matter. He likes to keep things immediate and loose, so he's found it's easier to just not worry about titles and kind of worry more about how the installation comes together.
Are these actually his hand drawings?
Those drawings are actually by Barry's father.
Wow.
So that's something about Barry's work that's pretty interesting, is that he incorporates his personal life, both his lifestyle, his friends, and in this case, his family. These little intimate moments are often hidden throughout his exhibitions. Maybe we should take a look at the table of bottles. Those are.
Yes.
This represents about.
Barry's inspirations, they want to know.
Barry's inspirations. He would tell you that it's everybody in his arts community, people from his life, and we'll actually get a chance to see that when we duck next door into that Elquan check cashing center. That's where Barry's really was able to invite about 120 artists to contribute a piece to the show, and the end result is sort of a peek inside of his head and his collaborators and friends. I think those are the people he's really inspired by.
So tell us about these bottles.
Yeah, these bottles are they're kind of a classic Barry McGee type of piece. There's about 88 bottles here in this display case, all of them painted by hand over the course of about 2 years. At this point, painting these faces, which is kind of Barry's signature, has really become a sort of end-of-day activity for him, just something to sort of zone out, meditate, get lost in the line work. And, he'll produce another bottle every few nights once he's sat down and kind of worked on it. But yeah, this was about 2 years in the making.
You said he repurposed these bottles as well?
That's right. So all of these bottles were at one time actually, liquor bottles that he'll scrub the labels off of, and then apply a gouache base in order to start painting these caricatures. The common legend is that he's painting the portraits of people who would have maybe consumed whatever was in these bottles originally.
The question that we just had was, did he drink these himself?
No, he's actually a pretty moderate guy. He's not one to drink a whole lot.
I recognize this guy.
Yeah, that guy recently was featured on a collaboration he did with the Beats by Dre, the pill. So this is actually the original drawing that he made in order to design that graphic that ended up on that pill. So
For Beats by Dre.
That's right. Yeah, that's where you might recognize that from.
All right.
Maybe we should take a look at the surfboard tower in the next room over here.
All right.
So this is the smaller surfboard cluster, featuring both hand painted caricatures. And these boards, he's actually taking existing surfboards, stripping down their graphic, and then applying through the same method that he'll create his geometric paintings, and then gets them refiberglassed. So that these are actually surfable. And if you ask Barry, he'll tell you that he's surfed every one of these at some point or another.
And are these actually his?
Some of them are bother. I think I didn't recognize. Yeah, I think his name's like Squiggledy Wiggledy or something like that. But some of them are his made up characters. Definitely like like this guy here that we're passing, that iconic head. So as we
look at this guy?
Yeah, I think this is a pretty impressive installation and kind of a new thing.
See this? I hope you can get the scale of this. I have to actually back all the way up to the other side of the room to fit this into the camera. It goes to the ceiling.
So you got I think we're at 96 odd boards here. This was a pretty impressive and moderately terrifying thing to watch them install. So we had a whole arrangement of scaffolding and 3 guys passing boards up hand over hand. But these are boards that Barry's been collecting, for the last 20 years. Maybe the only thing that Barry does as much as go to the studio is get out in the ocean and go surfing.
Gotta love the installers, yes.
Yeah, that's the only way things get done. Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to show you quickly. I'm just going to zip by some of the other pieces in this room so you can just get a quick sense, because we're about to go into a secret space. There's a cubbyhole that we're about to walk through, and I just wanted to show you what we've got in this room before we walk into this mystery hole in the wall. Ooh, we've got some more bottles here.
Yeah, those are actually kind of a throwback. That's an earlier style of painted bottle that Barry was playing around with right around 2000 or so.
Peekaboo down in the back. There's like hidden stuff on the sides over here. So many little things to discover. All right, so is this the cubbyhole you speak of?
Yeah, so we were talking about different ways to, create a nice introduction into this space, when we were planning the show with Barry. And at one point we talked, okay, maybe we just need to make a new doorway going in, and Barry thought that was a little too predictable. He thought, well, what if it was a really small door, like you had to get down on your hands and knees and crawl through? I was a little
crawl through?
I was a little concerned that might be too low, so we went back and forth and decided, let's make it high enough that you've got to duck, but not low enough that you've got to crawl on hands and knees.
All right. Let's duck in, guys. All right, what do we have in here?
So we've now crawled into the back end of the Elquan Check Cashing and Healing Arts Center, where Barry is invited, at this point, about 120 of his friends, collaborators, a lot of artists from the San Francisco Bay Area, but some sent their pieces from international destinations, a lot of people from the East Coast, and created a fully immersive peek into Barry's world.
Including these pieces back here.
Yeah. So there's the photographs you're looking at now are by one of his studio assistants, Matthew Baida. If we scroll down to this hand right here is actually an original Margaret Kilgallen piece, Barry's late wife. Moving around the room, a lot of this space is interspersed also with smaller pieces of Barry's or photographs from Barry's collection, like the one you're looking at now. We'll head this way first, and then we'll come back around to the front, I think.
All right. Oh.
Yeah, so even the security monitors are part of the show. Barry has taken over 2 of the channels of the live security cameras.
Yeah, this was similar.
Yeah, it's actually a very similar animation. And if you look at the walls of the closet here, you'll see it's become kind of a unofficial.
Unofficial tagging street art.
It's pretty much. This is like people come in, see the show, and then throw up their own little tag.
Oh wow! Look at this, guys. Love it. So what can you tell us about this space?
Well, this space is new to us as well, in the sense that we really only got the opportunity to take over it from the previous owners. If we're looking around this shelf, this bundle of bound twigs is a local artist named Christy Hansen. These newsprints are a good friend of Barry's. It's from this project. The artist's name is Michael Jang. This project was called Summer Weather, and he took these portraits. Oh, yeah, here we go. He added another flyer. These have been disappearing like every day. People come in and just take the newsprint. I mean, he wanted it to be that way.
What is this guy?
Super interesting young artist named Malcolm Kenter. A lot of the work, is kind of basically creating these miniature building facades that look at different areas of San Francisco. But yeah, that's been one of the really popular ones. Moving over here, this piece you're looking at, the black sealant piece, is by Francesco Diana, which is one of Barry's good friends and studio assistants. Scrolling up, we've got Willie Reed. This is some pretty out there stuff. It's I think it's pictures of glitter tacos. I've spent some time trying to figure this one out, but it just gives you a sense of Barry's really paying attention to a lot of different artists, and he's open to a lot of different aesthetics. He wants to know what everybody's up to.
Glitter tacos.
Glitter tacos is part of it.
Amazeballs. Oh, whoa.
Are you looking at the ponytail?
I'm looking at that ponytail. Look at this, guys.
It's an artist named Derek Marshall, actually another of Barry's good friends and studio assistants. Yes, oh my God.
Native graffiti, do you recognize it?
Tacos need love
Tacos
too.
need love.
That's what I say. That's right.
What's going on here?
This is a piece by an artist named Patrick Bresnan. I actually just heard that he got this piece accepted into the Sundance Cinema Film Festival. So he'll be an exhibitor at that this year. But yeah, he basically gained access to a prom in Pahokee, Florida, out near the cane fields. And for whatever reason, they just turn up to their prom in a way that I don't think anybody else does. I know my high school certainly didn't.
Patrick who?
Patrick Bresnan is his name, although he released the video under a pseudonym, Otis Ike. So if you Google Otis Ike, he'll probably pop up. He does really interesting stuff, a lot of photography as well. And this is Michael Jang, once again, the same artist we were looking at the newsprint on the other counter.
Is this all of the photos that he took?
Yeah, so he created a sort of, like an overlaid morphing video out of the whole photo project.
Thank you, Native, for putting that up. Phone TV and VCR.
Yeah, that's one of Barry's old artifacts from one of the many museum shows where he had stacked monitors. So it's making its second appearance here.
Is that Jane? What's the spelling?
Oh, where? Jane spelling. Oh, I'm not sure what we're referring to here. This thing is by Peter Kirkaby, who actually does a lot of framing for Barry. He helps him out with those things.
I still use a VCR. All right, now we're coming into the checks cashing part.
Yeah, now we're behind the teller's counter, standing behind an inch of plate glass.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure it's...
Whoa, look at this, guys.
It just keeps going.
Look at all these little tellers, mics. We've got change in there. We've got, what is that card?
I don't know. People have been kind of just contributing things, leaving their own
Oh,
stuff.
they certainly have been contributing things.
Yeah, all of these stickers and some potpourri over there. It looks like.
It's
it's
fantastic.
It's kind of a constantly growing thing.
So yeah, we can actually walk back in here and look at this part of the gallery and watch others
now
looking.
You're looking out straight towards the street where we started this. We were looking out at the light box and the facade of the building.
Did Rapid leave some? This is part of it as well, I reckon.
Yeah, it's all part. It's funny, the line between art and environment's pretty blurry in here. When we took over the space, Barry didn't want to change anything about the existing check cashing store.
Oh wow!
So a lot of the little notes left on the wall are things
Are
from
actually
the previous
the notes
employees.
from the employees.
Like
so
this right
isn't-
here, like the
this
login
isn't
numbers.
part of it.
No, it's just
This
it's
isn't-
part of it now.
I mean, yes, but I mean, this was part of the checks cashing.
Yeah. Slaps. Did he see Yarrow Slaps' piece? I wonder if that's what Native Graffiti is referring to.
Oh.
But yeah, Yarrow Slaps has a piece up in the show. Yeah, all that stuff stayed.
That's fantastic. It's a feast for the eyes. Look at all these different pieces together from all of his friends. Is there... Have we been? We have not.
Yeah, it's a confusing space. We haven't been out to the main space yet, though.
Okay.
So if you take a left right here, we'll go into the spot we haven't seen yet.
All right, now we're in the part on the other
So
side.
this is what you can see from the street. People walking by are able to peer in and see this part of the show and get a sense of what's inside.
So gang, when we first started filming, if you watch the replay, you'll see that this is what we were peering in on. So this is great. a wood cutout behind the counter.
Yeah, it's a piece by a guy named Drew Bennett, also based here in San Francisco. And the little black and white photo is from the photo collective Hamburger Eyes, big presence in San Francisco. We've got Damon Way with these two black and white photos here.
So this just goes on. All of these pieces are still from all of his friends, is that right?
That's right, yeah.
I had a shirt like that in the 80s. I'm just going to pan around the room, gang, and let you have your eyes, have a feast. And you said a lot of these are local San Francisco artists, but there's also a lot of submissions from his friends.
Yeah, from all over, really. Quite a few from the East Coast. Actually, this T-shirt here is one of the members of Force Field, the Providence, Rhode Island art collective. This is by Leaf, Eric Nylander. Yeah, it reflects a whole range of different styles, beyond the kind of more graphical, clean line aesthetic of a lot of Barry's work. It's a lot of kind of outsider art.
Someone just said Emma.
Emma Spertus, yeah. That's a Ruby Neary. This this kind of messy portrait. Ruby Neary is one of Barry's old kind of original art friends from the early 90s, part of the mission school.
Oh.
Heck yeah, outsider. That's right. Yeah, we've been lighting incense most mornings, burning it on that phone. Try to keep the vibe weird in here. Jim Drain. These four, some people might recognize. These are Os Gemios, the brothers, from Barry's personal collection.
How long does this show stay up?
This show will be up for one more week, so December 19th will be the last day to see this show. That's the end of week 7. I saw a question pop up there asking how does art get displayed here. In this case, it's really just a group show curated by Barry. I use curated in a pretty loose term. It's really just him reaching out to his friends and an art community, asking them to submit a piece. And again, I use submit loosely. It's basically bring a piece by and put it up on the wall. And that's, on the floor, stack it, hang it on top of another piece. It's getting that full.
Barry and his peeps, you got it. I love it.
That's right. Brian Chippendale right there with the hallucinogenic, crazy composition. Another East Coaster. If you pan up one, it's another little collection of Barry's dad's drawings. Yeah. And the piece to the right is by Peggy Honeywell. It's actually a pseudonym of Claire Rojas, Barry's wife.
You guys were mentioning that this is trippy.
Trippy, that's...
If I get closer, you can see some of the trippier details.
Maybe we should take a peek inside of this dresser here.
Ooh.
This is
So I want to back up so you guys can see this dresser. But if we open it up,
it's one of the hidden surprises in this show. Reward for those who explore a little bit.
Some Easter eggs in the room.
That's right. So he's customized each level.
Nice.
Got a little embedded head in here.
Ooh. And these were some of the numbers that he used a lot when he was...
Yeah, I mean, he really started painting the numbers years ago. He was interested in how signs were hand painted in the neighborhood out here in the Mission.
Yeah, you were telling me a little bit earlier about his roots and about guerrilla street art. Can you tell that part of the story?
Sure. I mean, in the sense that was kind of, before he was really recognized for the great artist that he is, didn't have as many opportunities to show. He found that the best way to, be able to express himself, make his mark, was to just go out and make it without permission. And that was really the beginning of his fascination with like the guerrilla street art, with that act. And I think the work still carries that energy, and I think you see that in like that stacked surfboard piece that we were checking out.
Yeah.
This is a sense of like I'm gonna just go for it. I'm gonna go big, and I'm not gonna fuss over the smaller details.
Twist is epic, Native says.
Yes, he is.
That's right, without permission.
Yeah, that's the attitude, and I think that came through in this part of the show in a big way. The only permission needed was, come in here and hang your piece. You're part of the group. So that neon piece is actually an homage to a good friend of Barry and his crew's that passed away, sadly. She's almost coming up on maybe 20 years at this point. But his name was Ty, and he was shot and killed while he was tagging the side of a building. And Barry felt it was important to commemorate that.
What is this neon sign made out of? Is it glass?
Yeah, it's blown glass, and I think it's an argon sign. I think that's how they do the red. Yeah. So
to be here?
No, Barry got that made. He felt like it added authenticity to the storefront. It fits in with the neighborhood.
Ooh.
So that's artist named Roxy Payne. He does some phenomenal stuff with repeatedly dipping a canvas in paint until it builds up into a big stalactite, or in this case, built this machine that sort of extrudes this plastic material to make unique sculptures.
Blob, someone says.
Yeah, that's right. That's a photograph by Patrick Bresnan, the same artist who did that video piece we peeked at earlier. Coming up on Chris Lux here, another San Francisco guy. That's that's a photograph by Teen Witch.
Who's this?
I don't know. That photo was kicking around Barry's studio for a while. Sure, it's one of the many people in his surf and art community. Todd James there, the big red piece. Another longtime friend of the crew. We got Claire Rojas, 2 pieces down here. These ones framed in walnut. Really, really beautiful.
So let's head back out to that large room that we were in. There was actually some background that you were telling me when it came to his street roots, actually. And in some of the pieces here, there's actually some nods to some of the old guerrilla street art. So we see the repeated use of THR, for example. Can you tell us what THR is about?
THR is the harsh reality. I mean, at this point, he's been incorporating it into his work so much that it's almost taken on a life of its own. But THR refers to the harsh reality, which was one of Barry's original kind of tagging crews. So if you were down with THR, then you'd be down for whatever, which is DFW.
Oh, which is over here.
which is one of the other big ones.
Where was that?
There's a good DFW right over here, a huge one.
Oh, right.
Part of that sculpture.
So DFW stands for?
Down for whatever.
I love this place, says Native. I know there's so much here, isn't there?
This is a nice one. You know, in recent years, Barry's been focusing more of his energy on doing these like pure patterned abstractions. It's this huge high gloss red piece that really focuses in on that kind of crazy movement. And you see it in person, it's got this kind of vibrating energy. You look at some of these patterns.
And you said the numbers. Say again now that we're looking at them.
Yeah.
There's a lot of numbers you'll see floating around in this piece.
Yeah, he started painting the numbers as part of, you know, just indulging his interest in hand-painted signs and a lot of those old typefaces. And over the years, he's, you know, kind of refined that over and over, and kind of created his own typeface. You know, I don't really ever see anything that looks quite like Barry's hand.
Yeah, and this book style as well.
Yeah, that's been a kind of a form he's been playing around with a lot. You know, printing DFW monikers on it, leaving them blank sometimes, numbers, THR.
Like a code, says Native. Absolutely.
Yeah, we got a good Fong in here. You know.
And what was the Fong again?
Fong, that's one of a long list of kind of monikers or pseudonyms even. Fonger, there's Ray Fong, Lydia Fong, R Fong. I think, you know, in a way it loosely refers to, you know, his Chinese American heritage. It's also just kind of having fun.
Yeah. And here we see his faces again.
Yeah, that's a pretty incredible stack of 10 faces. It's pretty amazing when you look at these things up close. You realize just how
Much
in
detail.
control,
Yeah,
you know,
if
how
we get really close for you guys, like look at the detail.
you can't really copy his hand. You know, that's the thing about Barry's work. You know, just no mistakes, just total confidence, incredible line work.
His faces, you got it, babe. So yeah, this is a crowd favorite, like a quilt, they say. And I'm going to back up so you can kind of, we've been up close to it so you can see a lot of the detail, but take a look at how it takes up the whole back wall. Amazing. So that's fantastic.
So when we were installing this piece, you know, it started out maybe a third this size, and I thought, wow, that's a big piece. Like, that's going to be. And you know, the next day it comes in with a van full of more panels, more components. It got a little bigger, and then on day 3 he decided, you know what, I'm just going to go. I'm going to use the whole wall. And it's standing. I mean, I was happy to see it. It's great, but. That's kind of the spirit of a lot of the installation, you know. You think it's done, and there's going to be more. There's always more.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, this is probably the most Instagrammed like photo op of the show.
Yeah,
People are always
of
posing in
course.
front of this one for their photo shot. And
Go big or go home. I love it.
yeah, that's the attitude. Same with the surfboard stack, the huge one in the next room.
Another pop.
People posing with that one, definitely.
Gorgeous. Well, thank you so much. It's
Yeah,
been
totally.
such a pleasure to have you take us through. Gang, so much fun to get to show this to you here in San Francisco. It's been a pleasure. We have another one coming up as well this evening, so stay tuned. And yeah, gang. We got the little insider scoop here in San Francisco. No, don't leave. You're welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome, my love. Yeah, if you guys, is there any other piece you wanted me to go back and get a closer look at? I can always do that for you if you wanted to grab a screenshot of any of
Show the
these.
brushwork on the hair on this guy. This is
Oh, yeah.
pretty incredible. I think Barry just kind of gets lost in the hair, you know.
I'm going to get it real close to you guys, for you guys, so you can see.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how meditative this would be to create?
Hand down, it gets even more detailed, finer
Wow.
and finer. It's like hours
Even
and
more at the
hours.
bottom. Oh, perfect. Yes. Screenshot on the replay. All right, gang. So I'll leave you with the big, beautiful quilted wall, as somebody said. The surfboards. And this piece that really exemplifies a lot of his work, past and present. A lot of what he's done as a street artist here in San Francisco, and how it's blended into his move as he's evolved and moved into the galleries. All right, everyone, it's been an absolute pleasure to get to share this with you. My name is Dana Garrison. I'll be taking you through all kinds of places here in San Francisco, whether it be art or dining, sights, things to see when you come here and travel. So you're welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome. Enjoy. We'll be back really soon for yet another one. So do stay tuned. Make sure you have your notifications on. And again, my name is Dana Garrison. We will see you on behalf of Scope Day and everyone here at the gallery. Thanks for joining us. Be well. Take